What's going on, guys? This is James Allen. I am recording this on Friday, January 16th, 2026. I originally wanted to talk about vProgs today, but I found myself spending so much time giving details about the background and the context that makes vProgs so relevant to the industry that I figured, you know what? Why not dedicate an episode just discussing the blockchain trilemma? Then I'll get to vProgs. So that's what we will do in today's episode. We will just talk about the blockchain trilemma that kind of forced Kaspa to push vProgs to the forefront. That way you'll understand why vProgs are so important to the industry in general, not just to the Caspa network. Now, if you remember, a blockchain is at its core a database. It's a special kind of database. It's a distributed ledger, but it's still a database. There are differences, however, when you compare a blockchain database to a traditional cloud environment, for an example. Let's just say you're on a computer and you're updating some records on a website and you submit these changes to the server. A computer received those changes, right? That computer received those new information you submitted. It clocks this write operation and it replicates that new data to other machines in the network. Usually the computer that receives the data is called a leader, and there are followers, other machines who follow the new data that the leader has received. This process in traditional cloud environment is known as eventual consistency. That is, users typically perform write operations on computers that are leaders, and these leaders then propagate that new data to other machines in the database via copy. This cannot work in a blockchain environment. However, blockchain databases do not work like that. Let's look at the same situation. Let's just say you submit some new information, but this time it goes on a blockchain database. The node, the computer who received the write operation, gets the new information and it sends it to other computers. Other computers do not just accept the data in a blockchain environment, however. They don't just accept the copy of the new data because it's a ledger. They have to make sure that the data is correct. So what other computers do is they re-execute the logic that created that new data to make sure that the information is valid and is appropriate, right? And this is what people often talk about when they say consensus, right? Consensus means that like when a new computer receives an information in the network and it starts sending that data to other computers in that same network, that blockchain network, the other computers don't just accept it, right? They verify, they make sure it's correct. And verification involves re-executing the logic that created that state change. This keeps the system safe and tamper-proof. However, it comes at a cost. Computation does not scale well in blockchain environments because each machine is replicating each other's work. So you can imagine if the computation that created the result was rather heavy, this becomes extremely expensive. So it doesn't scale well. So it became more or less an industry axiom that blockchains are not compute layers. Now, I understand that there are protocols who try to tell you otherwise, like Internet Computer. They try to do this fully on-chain craziness, but it's not going to work. The reason why is because the only way Internet Computer is able to achieve this fully on-chain condition is by sharding its blockchain. But by sharding its blockchain into subnet blockchain, it does two things. One, fully on-chain increases surface exposure for attacks, right? Because everything is done on chain. The surface exposure for attacks is much higher in a blockchain like that. Second, because they shard the blockchain, there's not a single main chain protecting the ledger, right? You have a bunch of mini blockchain that are much easier to compromise than a single monolithic blockchain. So even protocols like Internet Computer or Cadena or Quay who shard their blockchain, they're giving you all these promises, but there are costs to sharding your blockchain, security costs and surface exposure attack costs. Point is, I think it's become an industry standard that computation belongs off-chain. However, when you move computation off-chain, you run into another issue, right? Because the execution that created the state change did not happen on chain, the protocol doesn't trust it, right? So, the protocol is like, how the hell do I know this is correct? After all, remember, a blockchain is a ledger. So the information it could accept have to be proven correct. So if the computation is done off-chain, the network has no real way of knowing this was done correctly. So it loses trust automatically. Now, the industry did come up with innovations to address this problem through ZK. I've done a few episodes on zero knowledge systems. Definitely recommend you check it out. But if you remember what I said in previous episode, ZK is a way of proving something without disclosing what that thing is, right? Again, ZK is a way of proving something without disclosing what that thing is. The ZK just generates a proof that the blockchain network could verify to make sure that the computation was done correctly. So we gain back trust, but if you remember, ZK keeps the computation and the data siloed, right? It keeps it in a black box. It just sends a cryptographic proof that the computation was done correctly. But the blockchain network does not have access to the computation itself that the ZK has, right? And because the blockchain network does not have access to the computation itself from the ZK system, that computation is siloed. And because that computation is siloed by the ZK system, we lose composability. Now, you might ask yourself, James, what the hell is composability, right? I've talked about it before. I've mentioned that Kaspa and Ethereum have instant composability, very, very important features. In a nutshell, composability is the ability for computations to build on top of one another. I'm going to say that one more time. Composability is the ability for computations to build on top one another, right? Very important feature in certain application transactions like DeFi, but even in my Cityscape example, there are use cases where I do use instant composability in a Cityscape Kaspa examples I will provide in the future. So you will see instant composability is actually very important, but composability is basically the ability for programs to build off each other's computation. Programs being able to build off each other's computation is a very important feature to have. And when you use a ZK system, even though you gain back trust because a cryptographic proof was generated that shows that the computation was done correctly, so trust is gained again, because that computation is kept in a black box through the ZK system, you lose composability because other program cannot access that computation and build on top of it. So we find ourselves in a trilemma, which I've created a graph to share with you guys. If you look at the graph, you will see that if you are in a blockchain layer, you can't really do much computation, right? So, computation is kind of gone because it's not very efficient on a blockchain layer. If you move computation off chain, you lose trust, right? But if you use ZK systems, you lose composability, right? So in a blockchain, you can't scale computation. Off chain, you have no trust. If you use ZK, you have trust, but no composability. And this is where Casper VROgs come to the forefront, because Casper VROG is the first solution we have that solve this blockchain trilemma that the industry is very well aware of. These are trade-offs that blockchain databases have shown the industry as a whole and has become well accepted. And Casper VROgs is actually the first innovation that allows us to solve this trilemma that is plaguing the industry right now. And I hope this sets the context for what I'm about to talk about in the next episode, which is Casper VROgs themselves and how they solve that trilemma beautifully. And in a following episode, after I explain vProgs, I will use a Cityscape specific example where I will create theoretical Cityscape vProgs that actually use composability, but that makes it also clear why Kaspa is a much more efficient way of using blockchain, and the throughput of this network is probably going to be amazing in the coming future. In any case, my misfits, that's all I have for you in this episode. You know what to do. Don't forget to press that like button and support me on Patreon. I will see you next time.